Hello, my name is Beth McDonald Stone, and I'm an avid knitter coming to you from, an avid knitter and knitwear designer coming to you from Bermuda. So, hello, hope all's well. Hope some people are feeling a bit of autumn vibes. Bermuda, not so much, but I've just come back from dropping my kid off at university in Southern Ontario, and it was definitely autumn vibes last week, which was amazing. We wore sweaters, we wore shawls, we wore scarves. My husband wore a sweater that I knit him. We had so much fun. And then I think it got hot again. But so it was like perfectly timed for us. And then I think it's cooling off there too this weekend. So my son will be very happy. He was a bit disappointed that it got warm again because he is definitely a cold weather lover. At least he says that now. We'll see when winter really kicks in January, February to see if that really still is appealing. But anyway, so he's launched and the visit was fantastic, and I'll talk a little bit more about that because I had a time to catch up with some knitting friends and go to some knitting stores. So at the end of the video, I'll talk more about what we did and what I saw and what I purchased. So that's really great. And I had no idea that Southern Ontario was such a knitting hub. So really excited. Maybe Oliver needs me to come visit more often. I don't know. Probably not. Yeah, so that was a quick what's been going on. Back in Bermuda now, it's totally hot and humid. Luckily, there's a breeze. There's been a lot of rain, so I'm hoping that the temperature is going to cool off soon. It's really hot. My husband just got back from a run. It looks like he just came back from a swim. Um, Anyways, it is what it is. September is always kind of brutal here because by this time of the year, you're kind of over it, and the heat and humidity, just no more patience for it. So, yeah, fingers crossed for autumnal vibes here on the Rock. It might be more late October, but whatever. I can be optimistic, can't I? Anyways, so we'll talk about some knitting and go from there. Okay, so what am I wearing? I am wearing an old design of mine called the Mid-Ocean Tee. It is a great, it's fairly open and lacy. I've got an undershirt on that for modesty. But I love the concept. I love this top. It's great. I've knitted out of Rerum Natural Antigone. Is that right? Nope, that's not right. Rerum, what did I knit this out of? Rerum Natural Antigone. That's what I knitted out of. And that's a really wonderful linen yarn. I'm wearing it today because when I hung out with my knitting friends in Southern Ontario, they were wearing theirs, and I thought, oh my God, I really want to wear mine. I love it. It's really cool. And really fun. It's a raglan, top-down raglan, knit in the round. A friend of mine, my friend here in Bermuda, Irina, test knit it, and she knitted in a really woolly yarn and made it long sleeve, and that was really beautiful. So I'm wearing it today as a summer top because it's still hot and humid here. And it's a great also beginning of winter or fall transitional top, especially if you knit it in a woolly yarn. So because I feel like it, I'm putting this on sale. Yeah, 20% off for the next week. No coupon required. Anyways, it's a great one. It's simple lace. It's lace on the back too, but totally not necessary. You could do the back solid. I think when I knit it, it was hot, and I was thinking of aeration and airflow and cool thoughts. So do what you like. It's really great. And adding long sleeves is super easy. If I remember correctly, Irina just did everything to this, and then I don't even know if she did decreases. I probably wouldn't do decreases. It's not an overly full t-shirt sleeve, so I would probably knit it straight down to the wrist, and I'd love to do that. Gosh, there's just not enough time. I've got so many things I want to knit. I've got a whole table downstairs in my office area of stuff to get going on, and I just don't have enough time. And now I just would like to do another one of these, like my friend Irina's, with long sleeves. And you know what I should do is I should probably try and link her Ravelry page if she has a Ravelry page. If she does, I will link that in the show notes below. So all the notes everything that I talk about, all the yarns, all the patterns and everything like that are linked below in the show notes. So please look there for any information or answers or whatever there first. I try to be as thorough as possible. But yeah, so I'll try and if Irina has a Ravelry page, which I think she has, because I think she's pretty diligent about that. I'll try and link that too so you can see it with long sleeves, and it's really lovely sweater. Anyways, so I hope you enjoy it. Really fun knit, a little bit of simple lace. And the neat thing with diamonds or triangles or anything, you can always get it to increase into the raglan shaping. So it's kind of raglan is kind of perfect for that, if you can see. Yeah, and I'm just wearing it with like this undershirt underneath it. That's the same kind of color. I don't know. I was going to do nude, but then I just thought it would look too nude. I might look a little too exposed. So anyways, there you go. Okay, so that's the mid-ocean tee. What have I finished? And I have it. It's right here. Did I bury it? Where'd I put it? Nope, here it is. It's behind the computer. I did finish right before we flew off to take my son to school. I finished the Stromboli by Caitlin Hunter. I haven't sewn in the yarns and I haven't blocked it yet. I haven't done the final block because, oh, it caught the light and you could see the pattern there. Really pretty, isn't it? Let's put this threads behind. And you can see how beautiful the t-shirt really is. A really fantastic knit. I really, really enjoyed knitting it. I did use a black yarn. I did Lindy, I have it in my head and then I lose confidence when I won't go to say it. Knit Picks Lindy chain. That's where I was losing my, so Knit Picks Lindy chain. So it's like a summer yarn. It has no stretch to it at all. So I did get a little hand fatigue at first, but then it just was fine. My gauge ended up being quite off, so I did do one block of just the body to make sure it would work, and I stretched the heck out of it. I don't know if you can say stretch because this has no give to the yarn, but I pulled it to its max. So I think it's going to be great. I need to block the sleeves and the collar, and did I do the hem? Yeah, I had done the hem. So it's just the sleeves and the collar that I haven't knit yet. And I need to block that aggressively. Since we've been back, oh, and there's lots of evidence of Luna. Luna's for everywhere, which is cute, I guess. I don't know. Not so much on black, but since we've been back, it has rained so much. There's just been like dots of heavy rain, thunder, lightning, and everything, which is unusual for Bermuda. We get a bit of thunder and lightning, but not so much. Like I remember growing up in Ontario and, you know, when a thunder and lightning storm would come in, it would settle in and stay for hours. And that just doesn't really happen. We're just a dot in the Atlantic here in Bermuda. But this fall, we've had a lot and it's been intense. And in fact, some of the island has been hit by lightning recently, like a chimney on a historic house in a bit of a valley, which is amazing. A boat was struck by lightning and caught fire. I think a person was even hit by lightning down at a beach in the other end, in the east end. I think they're still around. But anyways, it's just been kind of wild. We just don't usually get that. So anyways, long and roundabout story on why I haven't blocked it yet, because the weather has just been so changeable. And I really do like to, when I block, I do the soaking and submerging and everything like that. And then I do, especially if I'm trying to stretch it or if there's lace, I like to pin it out and then I have it on the black colored, that sort of foam board stuff that we all use. My husband had it for, I think it was for like flooring, spongy flooring for his bike room. I use that, but then I put it in the sun and I find the sun really cooks it dry quickly. And that's great. And so when it's been changeable weather, I haven't done that for fear of it being out in the rain. And also because Bermuda is such high humidity, you don't want to do that and lay it out in the house because it'll just get moldy. So even though I've got the air conditioning on, so you really want, like, the sun is kind of key. Anyways, and then I usually follow up, just as an FYI, I have towel heaters because again, Bermuda is so humid. That's a really great way for me to know, like at the end of the day, once it's been in the sun, I put it over a towel heater, taking all the pins out and everything like that, just to make sure all the moisture's off. Because if I fold it up, I just don't want things to get moldy in my cupboards, and I really want to know that they're 100% dry. So I love my towel heaters, and my family have come to learn, you know, it's not a big deal if there's a sweater or something over their towels. Just be kind and gentle and don't throw it on the floor. Anyway, so that's great. So I really recommend this pattern. It's an all over lace. it's a really fun knit, and I was just talking to my friend, so I met up with my friend Noelle from Knits and Pieces, and her Stromboli was my inspiration. And she and I both have said we would totally knit this again. And I would completely knit this again. I would love to start another one like right now, using a wool fiber, you know, sort of a protein-based fiber, because I think it would give such a different look and effect and hang and drape and stuff. And I think it'd be really fun. The black was really tricky because I couldn't really see the stitches very well, especially when I was in New York City. The apartment wasn't really that brightly lit. And I mean, it was really comfortable and lovely, but you know, it wasn't sort of like a knitter's apartment. We were just renting it. So the lights were totally good for reading, but not great for black yarn and fine stitches. So thank goodness for stitch markers. I had those between every repeat, and I did like quite often tank back, and I didn't really care. It took what time that it took. It was easy. I think it's a 4-row repeat. Boy, isn't that amazing? Like a week or so after I finished, I can't even remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure it's a 4-row repeat. And it was really fun. So don't be put off, but if you're worried about it being all over lace, it's really fun. It's really easy. It's really addictive. And it's really great because you've got chunks so that you can like give yourself target. Like I'm going to do so many repeats a day. I love that. That really helps my brain. And don't be put off about black yarn because you just use stitch markers. And so, you know, very quickly if you've, you know, gone off in any way. So yeah, it was great. I'm really excited to finally block it, and maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Although like today there was supposed to be rain off and on through the day, but it's pretty sunny, but very windy, so that wouldn't work. Okay. So that's my finished object. What I'm working on. Okay. So yeah, I'm working on this. This is called the Clebrig, and it's a pattern that I designed a year or more ago, maybe 2 years now, maybe even more. I don't know, time flies. And this, excuse me, I'm just gonna move my chair. This is a really nice pattern where it's just top down in the round. It's really hard to see the overall shape that it's going to create right now because of course, you know, it's not blocked and everything. And so you don't get the idea, the image of volume on the sides. There's no sort of waist shaping. It's not going to flare out like this. It's just, this is because of the needles in the bottom. And I've still got another inch of hem to do. And then very slim fit sleeves here. So this will have the shape that I'm really interested in right now, which is sort of boxy through the torso and then slim arms. It has great color work, very easy, never more than 2 colors per row at any time, and it's really addictive and fun. Now, when I purchased the yarn for this, I was kind of paying attention. It's funny, when I knit my own designs, I seem to sort of mentally check out a little bit. So through the whole process, I have made so many errors and so many sort of mental checkout sort of situations. The first one, when Magpie Fibers had a sale on in the spring, I really wanted to knit this. And so I bought yarn for it, but I forgot one more color. So I was 1 color short. And so I thought, you can see from here up, it's missing the color that goes here, which kind of blurs this middle section. And I noticed it when I started to knit it, and I thought, okay, well, whatever, I'm sure it'll look fine this way. And I thought this first section looked totally reasonable, no problem. But I knit most of this section and it was just too stark. So what I did was I did a mad scramble in my stash, and thank goodness for stash, because I did come up with something that would work, and it's Rauma Lamullgarn here, and I'll put the colorway down below. I forgot to look. Actually, maybe I think the tag is actually right here. Yeah, it is. Okay, Rauma Lamullgarn, color 26. And it was sort of in this kind of blue, mineral blue family that I was really playing with here. And so when I got down to, I ripped this all back, and then I ripped it back to where I started to include it, which is to here. And then included it, so it's these 3 rows here. And then hardly can tell but it makes such a big difference. But yeah, it's these 3 rows here where the dark should be. Holding this triple to kind of match the gauge of the Magpie Fibers Nest Worsted. I didn't rip back all the way up here because I really wanted to not, kind of part lazy, and also I really wanted to try to duplicate stitch over a surface. And I've, duplicate stitch, that's how I weave in my yarn at the end. I duplicate stitch when I've made like 1 or 2 small errors, and that's been no problem. But I really wanted to duplicate stitch like a whole shape, if that makes sense. And so I've started it, and I think it's been really quite successful. So I've done it here and around the shoulders. Can you see? Yeah, there. If I pull it in, you can see I've duplicate stitched up to here, and then I've stopped because I wanted to show you what the difference is. Now, because I'm holding this triple for down here in this section here, I'm duplicate stitching it double. So it is a bit more raised. I can definitely feel it more here where I can't here. It's not 100% a replication of what should be, but I think it's fine, and I actually find it really fun. I'm just holding my hand out here because I feel like the shoulders on a mannequin don't really do a garment justice because it doesn't fill it out here. It just falls without a sleeve or without the shoulder. And anyways, so duplicate stitching is really simple, where you just basically follow the shape of the stitches that should have been a different color, or you would like a different color with the yarn. It's very meditative. There's definitely, I'm learning a better approach, like to start, if your stitches are basically that shape, like sort of a horseshoe, start at the narrower points and then go up and around, and do that. So I just do like rows of, it's 3 rows here. So I just do like columns of each row and move my way around. It doesn't take long. It eats up lots of yarn. So I've got, I weave in as I go. It's really simple. And it's really effective. Again, I think from my perspective, it's not 100% the same as what it looks like down here, but it's pretty good. And it's kind of fun. It's a good technique to have up your sleeve, especially when you have a shoulder in it. Anyways, I think it's a really good technique to have because while I was totally fine to rip back to here, there was a big, increase round in here, and I just really didn't feel like doing it again. And again, I really think these sort of techniques to help get yourself out of a jam or give you more options in the future. Duplicate stitching is also great if you have like a motif centered and you don't want to do intarsia, and you just want to put the motif, say sort of like a pink heart right here with nothing going around. I would definitely duplicate stitch. So anyways, glad to have had an opportunity to try that. And yeah, I'm coming along really quickly. I've enjoying this knit. It's a really fun one. Like I said, I do totally check out when I'm knitting my own. I hope this is going to be the size that I want in the body, because it turns out I didn't use the right needle size. When I jumped from the recommended collar needles, I didn't go to the right body needles, and I went to an 8 instead of a 9, which the pattern went for. I think I'm close to being on gauge. It's so funny when it's my pattern, I'm like, I think, oh, I know. And I don't remember these things at all. So I'm really a lot better at when it's someone else's design. And if I'm testing for someone else, I really pay attention. But when I sort of testing it for myself, not so much. Yeah, so it's coming along really well. There's a little puckering here and around the color work. That'll all block out, I'm quite certain. And then this will all lay flat. I've got another, like I said, it should hang straight like that and sort of boxy. That'd be more like it. I have another inch to go on the hem and then the sleeve. So I'll definitely have this done for our next chat. And in our next chat, I'll show you the original so that we can compare. And that probably will be the featured pattern for that week, because it's a fun one and it's really a neat one to get yourself into this sort of autumnal winter feeling. It's a nice gauge. I can't remember what the gauge is, like 18, or I think it's 18 stitches per inch. Don't hold me to it, but something around there. It's a nice worsted stitch gauge. So it's fun, it's easy, it's gentle in the hands. This yarn is great. I love Magpie Fibers Nest Worsted. Sorry, it's a bit of a mouthful. I did find some of it was sort of strangely spun and irregularly spun, especially the neutral. And you can see, if you really look closely, you can see like right where I'm putting my finger, there's some lumps and bumps. And I was a bit surprised. Actually, I was really surprised at that. Wasn't really, it must have just been a random skein. I found it a bit in the blue here. And I think it's on the back. But really it was in this natural one where it just wasn't spun evenly, which is a bit of a shame, but I'm not into perfection. It's not what I crave. So all fine. But yeah, great yarn. Magpie have great colors, and I'm keen to have this one ready for when it gets colder. So that's that. That's the first, the Claybrig, and we'll talk more about that and compare it with the original probably next time. I'm happy to say also that I got further along in my Rib Vault socks. This is a design by Stephen West that I've sort of massively modified. He does more of a leg with multiple versions of this throughout and has it come down on the top of the foot. I've mentioned before, I just don't think that texture on the top of my foot would be comfortable with walking a lot. So I just kept it simple. And this is the leg height that I like, because right now I'm wearing a lot of sort of running shoes and not loafers, but like Oxfords that, you know, stop around here. So that's the ideal for me. The yarn is cake yarn color. I don't know what color it is actually. Cake yarn Whisk is the base. It's a really nice yarn. It's very dry, and it's funny sometimes, depending on my hand temperature or the temperature around me, it feels really good to knit with, and sometimes it just feels really dry and I can't get it, like it's almost fighting me. So yeah, so I think that's also why I haven't really progressed that far on it. But I have to say the flight up to Toronto and the flight back, I got a lot done. I got the sort of smocking motif here done and turned the heel. So now I'm just working on the foot, and that should be good. So hopefully I'll have that finished too by next time. It'd be really nice because I've got lots of socks that I'd like to knit. I'm sure you all have seen that Summerlee has put out another collection for this year, which is more texture based and color work for the cuffs especially, and I'm really excited about that. And I bought some yarn that I really want to get going on it, but I'm trying not to cast it on until I finish that, because otherwise it's just going to sit there. I do like it, but sometimes that yarn just doesn't feel quite right in my hands. I'm not sure why. I don't have that problem often, but it's definitely a sensation I've realized recently, which is why I haven't really rushed to finish. Not rushed to finish, but like I'm not overly enthusiastic to finish or to work on it. It doesn't give me that wonderful just knit, 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 knit rhythm, comfort, soothing, satisfying feeling that I think I seek when I knit socks. But sometimes it does. I mean, it's just so weird. So maybe it's me. Maybe it's my hands are too dry sometimes, or maybe it's the air conditioning doesn't make it feel right, or maybe I'm feeling tense and I pull it too hard. I don't know what the problem is, but something between me, I don't know. But we'll get through that. The other thing that I cast on the airplane to Toronto was the Diamante shawl by SweaterFreak, and what a great design is this. I saw this while watching the Knitting Place podcast. I don't know if you watch that, and if you don't, it's a great weekly podcast. Dinah and Pam from they are from, I can't remember the name of the area, but they're from Long Island. And they have Dinah has a great knitting store, and the weekly podcasts are amazing. They talk so much about really cool patterns that they see, and I always find it inspirational. So anyways, this pattern, the Diamante shawl, came up recently because the designer for SweaterFreak, can't remember her name, has lent the Knitting Place, which is Dinah's store, a lot of their samples for a trunk show, and all beautiful. So I know that I've been in a definite kick for shawls, and I've been in a definite kick of mosaic and Spincycle changing and just that sort of thing. And so the Diamante shawl was definitely hit all those notes. And so cast it on, and I'm basically halfway. I think I've got like another half of a repeat to get to the 9 full repeats across, and then I'll start the decreases for the other side, and I think it'll be a really great shawl. So it'll be like that. It'll be kind of a bandana style, going like that. I was helped by my son before he went to school with the colors, and I'm really pleased with them. So that is the Spincycle dyed in the wool in Bruised Ego, I think, because I've mixed up the balls and I think it's Bruised Ego, but I'm not really sure. Pretty sure. That's what I'm calling it. And then this is Lichen and Lace that I bought a long time ago, called Pressed Flowers, and really pretty. So Oliver picked these colors for me, and I'm really enjoying it. And my friend Diane, who is great, and you might know her from Instagram, she suggested, my son's going to Waterloo, that I call this the Waterloo shawl. And so you may find a reel with me wearing the Waterloo shawl with ABBA's Waterloo song in the background. So yeah, but I'm really excited about that, and that's what it'll probably look like there. Yeah, I think it's gonna be great. So yeah, check out SweaterFreak's Diamante and all of her amazing designs, because they look so good. I'd like to try more. What else? I think that's it. I really kind of like 3 things on the needles at one time, which sort of stresses me out, because of course I want to, cast on more. Like I said, I'm really excited to cast on socks. I have this design that's currently with the tech editor. Finally, sorry, I was going to do that at the end of August, but just with Oliver packing and going, and just the mental kind of, there was a mental, I don't want to say block, but there was like this sort of space that got used in my head until I got him launched at Waterloo, that I just couldn't work on it. So I've worked on it. I've sent it to the tech editor 2 weeks later than I planned, but I know the tech editor was also having summer break, so it doesn't really matter. Anyways, it'll get out when it gets out. But this is called Ride the Waves top, or tee, or not a tee because it's not short sleeve, but you can make the sleeves as long as you want. My friend Allison, who I was on the Alaskan cruise with last year, she suggested the name, and I love the name, so thank you, Allison. Anyways, this is a great, I'm really excited about this top. It's a really great fit for me. It, again, is that boxy with the narrow sleeves. I'm definitely enjoying this fit right now. And then sort of an old shale pattern in the body. And so now this is at the tech editor, and it'll soon be going into test knitting. I really want to try it with sort of one color being the blue and the pink here, and then with the blue stripes here in the old shale, I'd like to use Spincycle. So I've got 2 ideas. So I thought this would be the main color, which is really pretty. I bought this a couple years ago when I was traveling in Texas with my family. So you can read that. Linares Secretos, and the color is Hanoi Sunset. So pretty. And I thought that'd be so cool with this Spincycle in Rosy Maple. Like, amazing. I think this is the one that I'm really drawn to. And the other one that I think would sort of fit my wardrobe easier, but still would be really, but maybe not as exciting a color pairing, is what I bought this summer at the Wandering Flock, the organic cotton, mulberry silk, linen, and alpaca blend, color Ching, mixed with poppy. So that might be a little bit more expected, those color mixes. Maybe I need to knit them both. But that's what I'm just itching to get on my needles. And there was also that fall sweater that I talked about last time that I'm itching to get on my needles, and I'm itching to do that too. So there's so much like this. And then I've got other ideas and just not enough time, even though I'm knitting full time. This is crazy. But isn't it great to be so inspired? So I'd like to get a second one of those on the needles to give another option, another kind of cool look. And when that gets back from the tech editor, I will be calling for test knitters for that. This week I'm calling for test knitters for another sweater that I designed and knit last winter. There's just there's so much going on. It's fall. It's getting to be fall, whatever you call it. Um, and it's just such an exciting time of year. I'm starting to feel the vibes for Rhinebeck. I've booked my flights. I always book my hotel way in advance for Rhinebeck, but I've just booked my hotel sort of on the other side of it before I come back to Bermuda. Yeah, and having driven around Ontario a lot, we got to the car rental and my husband pulled out his driver's license and realized that his driver's license had expired in the beginning of August. Whoops. So I did all the driving in Ontario, and that was really fun. I brought up my confidence, so I'm totally set to drive up in New York State, and so I feel ready for Rhinebeck. And I hope whoever's going, if you are too, or just hearing about it, I find even just following the podcasts of people that are going or have been, or the reviews or the excitement before, almost as exciting. I really enjoyed that for Flock this summer. I was captivated by everyone attending and what their thoughts were. So if you're going to Rhinebeck or not, it's just that season. It's the season of autumn, the season of color, of coziness, of crispness in the air. Not so much Merino, but the hopes of it. And I get really excited about that. So yeah. So that's pretty much all in knitting. And then, so when I was in, so Waterloo is it's west of Toronto, kind of just directly west in Ontario. Really easy to get to from the airport. And then I was there and I knew that it wasn't far for the Litte Red Mitten, which is in St. Thomas, which is sort of southwest even more. It's closer to the lakeshore. And so I know Noelle and Kelly from the Knits and Pieces live around there, and a friend of theirs that I've met before and really enjoy their company, Julia, and then another knitting friend of mine from Bermuda, actually she's a friend from Bermuda that knits, is in that area as well. So not St. Thomas, but close enough that we could get together. And so I thought it would be so much fun to meet at the Litte Red Mitten. I've heard so much about it and I really wanted to check it out. And so we did. Unfortunately, Kelly was camping that weekend and couldn't join, but it was Noelle, Julia, Helen, myself, and my husband. And I'll insert a picture here of us. Julia is really great at taking group photos. They're really fun and fantastic. So that's what will be here. And we had a lot of fun. Now, the Litte Red Mitten is very cool. And I took a video, I'm pretty sure, of the shop, and I will try and include it either here or I will add it at the end. It's a great shop. It's a house and it has multiple rooms. So it's like the ground floor and you walk through each room and each room has sort of a different yarn theme, maybe. And so lots to choose from. There is so much. And if I was looking for, if that was your local yarn shop, and you could go there to look for projects, like full projects, start to completion, would be such a dream. They had everything from Noro to, oh gosh, some spinning supplies to, I'm just trying to remember walking through the rooms. Maybe it would be better if the video is there that you just look through that. But like all the different budgets, hand-dyed yarn, really interesting alpaca yarn in great colors that would be great. There are big skeins that I thought would be really fantastic to make blankets out of. Holst garn. They have a whole wall of Holst garn, which is a great workhorse yarn, one of my favorites. Just an amazing selection. And so while chatting, I'm terrible at looking and chatting at the same time. I can't multitask, but I was not unsuccessful. So I picked up a few things. I picked up this Full Moon Fibers. I didn't realize Full Moon Fibers was from Barrie, Ontario. That's actually where my father was born, Barrie, or Allendale. He was I think Allendale's been absorbed by Berry now. But anyways, this one is called Why Didn't You Coral Me Back? I think it's really fun. And then I picked up this one because look at the colors and the glazing on that. And this is from Firefly Haven Fiber, Mabel Sock, color Pop Rocks 2.0. And then another one from her called Olives on the Side. And I just thought that was really cool. I am really, really, really enjoying knitting shawls and stuff and just playing with colors. So I've really been trying to pack my stash so that I've got a really good selection of colors. And there was another store I went to, which I'll show you in a second, and I'll hold these up again when I do that because I'm really excited about some color. Well, here, I'll just do it now. At another store, I bought this. So I just thought, look at that, would be a really cool shawl. And Stephen West Mystery Knit Along is coming up. And I feel so overstretched, but I do it usually. And I really like his design. So I don't know what he's got on, I don't know what he's got on his idea, whether it's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 colors or what. But anyways, I have stash. I also couldn't go to the Little Red Mitten. The Little Red Mitten's in-house yarn company is called Leo and Roxy, and I love these sock sets. And this is what I was wanting to use for my neck socks, using something from the new Summer Lee collection. And this is what I'm just itching to cast on right now. Also, when I was there, they had this wall, or this section of a wall, from Manos del Uruguay, and it's basically hand spun. So they tell you who did the spinning. So I think it would be Patrice. The handwriting's a bit tricky. I can't read the other bit above it. But it's called Marla, and I just thought the colors were really beautiful. I am definitely in a multicolored, Spincycle, color changing, barber poling phase right now. So I just thought that was really interesting. I think I'm really circling around the fact that I'd really like to learn to spin. And as I talked to you about in the last episode, I did take a class and I'm really excited about that. And I think I'm kind of semi-consciously psyching myself to purchase a wheel and get going on that because I'm really, really drawn to this sort of thing and to the spin cycles. I just, for some reason, I know I'm a bit late to the party, but I'm really craving that. I think that's my mind saying that I'm really keen to learn and to do it myself. So the one other purchase I made at the Little Red Mitten, I thought this was just gorgeous. Oh, sorry about that. Anyways, the phone. This is the last purchase I made there, and this is Lang Sporty Socks in the color tennis. I didn't even see the colorway called. I like playing tennis. I play tennis once a week here. It's not really I just like the social. The ladies are really fun. The game, I'm not really that into it, but it's fun. It's fine. Yeah. Anyways, but I think it looks really pretty, and that's just a lovely sock yarn, so I couldn't help myself. So yeah, so the Little Red Mitten, if you're in Southern Ontario, if you live around there, of course you know it. If you're doing a trip, a car trip, definitely make that a destination. I think it's fantastic. Also, when it was obvious that I was in that area of Waterloo, from Instagram, a couple people wrote me and suggested other knitting stores in the Waterloo area, and I had no idea, and literally had walked past one which was really right near the Airbnb we were staying at, and it was fantastic. So on the day that we were driving out and having our last lunch with the kid, I went to the local knitting shop in Waterloo called the Flying Squirrel, and that's on King Street, sort of like the main street for Waterloo and for Kitchener. There's sort of two cities that kind of wedge together, and then King Street goes between both, and it's the main drag for both cities. But so the Flying Squirrel is in the Waterloo side of King Street, in a really nice modern building with a lot of windows, so that the light in there is amazing. And that was another really cool, it was a bit more modern looking knitting store. They had a really good collection of interesting yarns, and if I was looking for sweater quantities, that too would be an amazing spot. I feel like I've got a bunch of sweater quantities that I can't get through fast enough. So I didn't really look into that, but they had a lot of the yarn from the company that does Mota, which, Dreamweavers, something like that. And I love Mota, M-O-T-A. They had a lot of other collections from that umbrella, and really thought that was really nice, and would love to try some of the other ones. The company that I'm trying to remember, and I just can't, it's not coming to my mind right now, but it reminds me a lot of Rerum Natural, and I love Rerum Natural. So they're very similar, and I think Dreamweavers or Dream whatever, it's a Canadian company, and really fantastic, worth looking into. So I didn't really want to get into like a whole sweater quantity. We were packed and the car was loaded, and we were heading from there to the airport to spend the night at the hotel at the airport because the flight was really early the next morning. So I didn't really want to, I just wanted to squish in a few other things. So I found this, which I thought was such a special colorway. So the color is pistachio, and it's from Coats & Co. I've heard of Coats & Co. I don't know if you ever watched a really great podcast for knitting and also for sewing called The Twins That Knit or something like that. Anyways, they love Coats & Co. And they have a much more neutral wardrobe than I do. And while I think it's completely stunning and beautiful on them, it's just not for me, that neutral. So I kind of thought that Coats & Co. was just a lot of neutrals, but I think they've got a lot of really great colors. And so I purchased this not realizing who it was by, and it wasn't until I got home that I realized it was Coats & Co. And I remember actually thinking I should buy a couple of the colors. So the colors did stand out. It was really exciting for me. It really did tick boxes. This I thought was just so unusual and special as a light and bright. And then when I got home, I thought they looked amazing together. So I will be looking more at this Coats & Co. This is Cottage Sock, so it's superwash merino and nylon, and the color I think I mentioned is pistachio, so that's really great. The only other thing I purchased there, other than a few stickers, which are on the computer that I'm filming, I'm really having fun putting a lot of knitting stickers on the outside. Oh, and, proud Waterloo student parent or whatever, those funny ones. But I bought this Knitted Bliss stitching stick and stitch embroidery pack. So I think basically it is that adhesive fabric that dissolves that you put on your whatever you want to put the embroidery on, and then you embroider on top of it and then wash the paper away. I'm kind of fascinated by this stuff. I've purchased some embroidery kits. I still have yet to use any of them. I don't know what's stopping me, but anyways, this is a process, I guess, and I'm in the first stage. Those are the designs in the package, and it was 21 Canadian dollars. Very good value, and it looked really great. So I look forward to trying that out. So that was really super. I think there are more really amazing knitting shops in the area, and one day I hope to definitely spend more time and check them out. We were also talking with the ladies at the Litte Red Mitten and going through the local festivals. The knitting festivals in Ontario generally are numerous. I mean, I think there's one almost every weekend. And so I had no idea that it was such a thing. So they were talking about there was the Kitchener-Waterloo one coming up in September. There was other ones all over, and I can't remember. I just, obviously the Kitchener-Waterloo one, I thought, shame. I think it was like 2 weeks away or something like that. And apparently it's a big one. And a bunch of other ones that they were listing. And so I thought that was really amazing. So if you're in the area or happen to be in the area traveling, do see if you can figure out what the different festivals are, because they look like a lot of fun. The one other thing I wanted to show you was something I came home to. I pre-ordered a while ago, and it had arrived when I was away. This really interesting book, Knit Modern Scandi Sweaters. Really cool. The author is Marita Clements. Now, I don't know if you've seen these on, sorry, I'm trying to get the glare off. That way, there we go, on Instagram. But it's a very specific, it's kind of like Marimekko, fun, poppy, graphic, very pleasing, pleasant, sort of modern florals, graphic shapes, sweaters. So I've been kind of noticing this and liking a lot of this on Instagram. And the book was just released in August, so I had pre-ordered it. This is really pretty. And there's so much you can do with color. So I had pre-ordered it. It really caught my attention. And I'm glad I did, because not only because of the colors and patterns and stuff like that, very inspirational, but I'm also very fascinated by how people write a pattern, especially color work, and how much information is given or how little information is given for the shaping, etc. Especially like, so this is a good example. This is a raglan sweater. All of these in this book are raglan sweaters, every one of them. And every one is basically a formula. So in the book, every design is graded in the exact same sizes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sizes. They're always the same sizes, I think. At least that's what I saw when I was reading it. So basically from a 34-inch bust, finished circumference. Oh, chest. Yeah. A 34-inch finished bust circumference to a 53-inch bust circumference. Now, it's not a huge span. It seems that they're sort of all within 2 to 3.5 inches of each other. It would have been really easy to add 2 more, but I think it's great because it does start at a low one. It doesn't go up that high. But the way this pattern is written is it gives you, basic construction, as in cast on so many stitches for the front, so many stitches for raglan, so many stitches for sleeves, raglan, back, raglan, sleeve, raglan. Basic concept. And then it just basically says, take the chart and center it. It doesn't chart out each size, which I've always done. I've always charted out so that you could either separate charts if that's important, or if I can do it so that it's a stitch repeat differently, so you could have the repeats and say red box in the middle, and then so that each line is, each row and how the chart's going to unfold for you. I've always done that, and a lot of people do that. Where here, I don't want to show you a chart because of course that's not cool, but here they're basically saying, really simply, like the patterns are super simple, which is why I think they can fit in so many different motifs or so many different patterns in this one book. But they basically say, for this size of this lady, you cast on X many stitches here and you just center the pattern. And then as you increase on the raglans, the pattern will just grow as per the chart. So the writing, the instructions are very minimal, which we all know Scandinavian instructions tend to be very minimal, but very effective. And so I don't even know how many, 12 knitting patterns in this one very thin book, but kind of cool. And then there's just numerous versions of each pattern, colorways and color inspiration. I thought that was really neat because when I write a pattern, it's really important for me not to be verbose. I find it a huge turnoff if I go to start a pattern and it's literally like 15, 20 pages. I will not do it. That's just too much. And there's too many words that I will find too confusing because it will just get too into the weeds. Now, this is the other extreme. These patterns are, that's the sort of basic color, yarn, gauge, whatever. And then I'm just flash it really quickly. That's it. For the whole cast on, body, that's it. Oh no, I lied. One more page for sleeves, but a lot of photos, sleeves and finishing. So it is minimal. And I find that really interesting. And I do think a really, really, really well-written pattern that is minimal can actually be easier to knit than a really overly worded pattern of equal construction complexity. Anyways, always trying to figure out what the best way to communicate is. I've always, in my former life, I was an interior designer and everything I did was custom. So custom furniture, custom draperies, custom kitchens, custom everything. And it was my belief over time that the more specific I could be with the information as in measurements and details like that, but in not just simple numbers, not a lot of words, and the simplest instructions would get me through the closest, most successful completion or finish. And I think that's really interesting. And I'm fascinated by how different people write those instructions and those patterns and in whatever field, knitting, kitchen design. Kitchen design for me was basically just drawings and minimal information on measurements, because of course you could figure out the measurements of everything else by the scale. So again, less is more. I'm a big believer. So this was a really interesting book. I would recommend it. I think there's a lot of really interesting designs in here. I think some of the shaping is really pretty. Some of it I think is a little frumpy. But that stuff that as knitters we all know how to change. Like that, those lengths that really suit those ladies. I think that didn't really do much for that really beautiful girl, but I think the pattern, so I think what I'm looking at here is the pattern, the motifs, and customizing it. I think she might have looked better. Anyways, but you can, as knitters, we knit what we want, and we knit how we want it to fit. But the writing in this book is really, really, really interesting in my mind. So, cool book. Check it out. And I think that's it for today. So I'll leave you with videos of the yarn shops. I think they're there. I really haven't looked at my photos since I've been back, so I'm pretty sure they're there. And also some videos of the lovely driving up in southern Ontario. It's corn season. The cornfields were beautiful. The leaves were just maybe starting to change, one or two trees here and there. Like I said, it was crisp. It was fall. It was fun to stop at Tim Hortons and get my husband to get a coffee and Timbits. I can't eat those right now. I've always been gluten intolerant, and anyways, won't go down there, but it was fun to be there and to smell it in the car and stuff like that. Yeah, coffee is not my friend, and I can't drink it anymore, which is such a bummer, but I can smell it, and I love the smell of coffee, so that was really fun. So yeah, it was really great, but nice to be home, and yeah, home and having fun in this knitting season. So if you want another quick last summer top or transitional winter top, this pattern's on sale for another week. No coupon required, 20% off. More designs coming. It's getting into knitting season, so buckle up. Anyways, I hope you're excited for it. I know I am. Happy knitting. Have a great 2 weeks, and I'll see you then. Okay, bye.